Board, Mr. Katolka. You have at your seat tonight paper copies of the instructional program updates from each of our schools, and our principals will briefly address what's happening at your school. We'll start with Mr. Ross at Alleghany County School.
Chairman Tucker, Mr. Katolka, and school board members. As far as the high school goes, we're moving right along. Halfway through the school year. Of course, the rules changed, so now it's been even more of we have to look at each individual student, because the way the system works now, before, if you were in an SOL class, you took the SOL test. But now, you only take the test if you absolutely need it. So a student could be scheduled for 2 tests, Monday and Wednesday. They test Monday, they pass the test. Now they no longer test on Wednesdays, so it becomes a minefield that we're working through. But we're getting there, and it hurts a little bit because some of those students that you counted on before that you knew were going to pass the test no longer test. So it's something we're dealing with and going through. And as far as programs, of course, like I said, we work with every student. English and math is, of course, always our focus, and they're hitting it hard and doing pretty well. It's definitely math.
I want to remind the board that we have our 45 and 23-day data meetings with building administrators. High school's on 23-day because they're on a semester, and the other buildings are on 45-day. And they present this report to us as well. And then, according to the board's request about a year and a half ago, they wanted this group to provide that to you all. So I've asked them to put that together, working through this news ball to you for information. And all of them, Mr. Ross, if you all have any questions you'd like to ask me.
I have a question. When I was reading through the packet, I didn't see this with my packet that I got, but 100% pass rate in Algebra 1 and 96.7% pass rate.
Significant improvement.
Sorry, Jerry. 100% pass rate, Jerry. Clip the middle. Put it on the journal. And 96.7, I mean, that has been our kind of our problem.
Math, stop retardants. Rather than maintain it second semester, right?
That's the plan.
I like it.
So, Mr. Ross, what were you were just explaining to us that sometimes your stronger students aren't taking the SOL. Is that what, it's because they test out of it, or is that what you...
Right, because now, once you pass a test in a certain area, then you're no longer allowed to take another test.
So give me an example, like if they pass the Algebra 1
If they
SOL?
pass Algebra 1 and they're not going for an advanced diploma, then they're done. They don't take the geometry, they don't take the Algebra 2. Same thing for science, social studies.
Well, either they could be going for an advanced diploma, they still don't need it.
Yeah, and if they're going for advanced, if they've gotten 2 in another, then they're...
And that's only for your freshman class, correct?
Well, no, that's for all classes. Freshmen do even more because they're required to have 5 SOLs and one in each area except for English, which is math. I'm reading it right.
So we're in a dual system for 3 more years. And I do commend the high school and Ms. Hobbs as well for the hard work on managing this to make sure that each student gets the proper SOL they need to take. And actually, if a student takes an extra SOL, it's actually a irregularity, which is incredible, but we'll deal with it if that happens.
And the rules keep changing with that even, because when our students take earth science, now they have to take biology. We were told they were going to not be allowed to take anything beyond earth science if they pass the earth science. Biology is going to be the test that's assessed for federal program purposes. Same thing, it looks like with U.S. history, there's current legislation that we're watching closely. They can pass a world geography or a world history test, but they still may have to take the U.S. history test. That one's not completed, decided yet, before the General Assembly session.
So do your freshmen typically take 5 in one semester, or is it spaced out there?
It's spaced out.
Well, 3-year period.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, you had preliminary SOL scores for Alleghany High School. You'll see Clifton Middle School with Ms. Rowe, and she's going to talk about student growth assessments.
Chairman Tucker, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Mr. Walker. Clifton Middle uses assessments, our mid-year assessments on student growth assessment. We do not use SOL because we are not on semesters. So when you look at those scores, those are our SGAs from the beginning to mid-year. As you can see, we've had some growth. You can see our special education population, our pass rate for our special education students in 6th grade grew significantly, as well as 8th grade. Our 7th grade scores aren't as strong because this was a group last year who struggled. This group of 6th graders that moved to 7th grade was not our strongest group. We're working diligently to move them up. I can say with those students, I can tell you that I read every IEP in the building. So when we look at those students, I read every IEP in the building. I have exited 5 students from special education because they no longer needed those services. And we have to be, when we look at special education services, we need to look at students who require them and who don't. I can say that Mr. Olmstead's class is well run with Mr. Olmstead and his 2 instructional assistants, who are my fabulous 2 in there. So we are looking very strongly at passing those VAPs this year, and those are part of Virginia Alternate Assessment Program is what that's called. If you don't know what all those initials are, we're looking at those pass rates as well. As you can also see, our current grade averages are very strong within those. That's English. If you'll scroll up, please. Our math is also very strong if you look at our SGAs. One of the things that we looked at too is attendance. We had an attendance meeting on Friday. One of the things that we're looking at is pairing mentors with those students with attendance. If you look at these numbers, our attendance kind of matches up to that. Also, if you look at attendance, one of the things that we are happy with is that though our folks in 7th grade hadn't done as well as we would have liked to, they are also attending school, which is good. So we're trying to get them there. We have monthly team meetings with our teachers, grade level, and subject area. So that's something that we're really working towards. So Clifton is working as hard as we can. Unlike the high school, they have to take every test known to man. So we're continuing in that tradition. All grade levels take math and English, with 8th grade getting hit the hardest with every subject area known to man. And Mr. Ross is right. We kind of steal their Algebra 1s before they get up there. So that's part of his problem, and I'm sorry, Mr. Ross, but we do steal those sometimes. It's not that big a group, but we do get them before they get there. But 100% pass rate helps in any way that we can get it, and our kids get it. So I have phenomenal teachers at Clifton, so we work together as a team. So as you can see, the proof's in the pudding, and we're going to do it again this year. We were accredited last year. It's going to continue to happen this year.
Will you offer Algebra 1 next year as well for our 8th grade students?
We're going to offer Algebra 1 for 8th grade students, absolutely. Well, we're in negotiations as to where it will be.
Okay, because I had heard that we were not going to have a high level math.
Geometry.
It's geometry.
Yes, geometry will not, geometry will definitely not be offered at the middle school next year.
And if they do want to take geometry, would they be?
They would go to the high school if we were still in that position, but this next year students should be the last phase of folks that need to go on that track.
And does that work with the Gov School track as well? I mean, if they take the Algebra 1
Algebra 2 is what's required.
do they still do Calc 1, Calc 2 in Gov School?
Pre-calc and calc.
Okay.
And they would take geometry 9th grade. Governors starts for junior. 11th grade. So they would take Algebra 2 their sophomore year and still be on track.
Okay, sounds good.
Do you have any questions?
Excellent job. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
I echo that to commend you and your staff.
Thank you. They do all the work, so.
I remember what you said when you took that job. We would be accredited and we won't have a discipline problem.
Well, and they are the ones that do it. I steer the boat. They're the ones that do the work. So,
Gotta have a good rudder on a boat.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we're going to start with the elementary schools now, and their comparisons are a little bit different this year. We moved to CIP, which is Comprehensive Instructional Program, and we've been working with them. This is the second year. There are currently, I believe, 42 school divisions in this consortium, and our teachers get together, develop benchmark assessments, develop curriculum, even have some prototype lesson plans. Other school divisions have seen significant success through their participation in this program, and we are beginning to see some good results from that as well. So we're going to be talking about benchmark 1 and benchmark 2. There will be a benchmark 3. These are not cumulative, so you can't compare the first score to the second score. These just allow us to know where our students are and help assist us with targeting remediation efforts. So with that, Mr. Pratt.
I thought it was going to be Mr. Callahan.
Yeah, you are Mr. Callahan.
Mr. Hammond.
With a G. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Superintendent, ladies and gentlemen of the board, I'm pleased to report that Callahan Elementary's staff and faculty have been working hard for the first semester to get our students on the right track for accreditation for the whatever year this is going to make. When we look at benchmark data for the second quarter, which is what you're looking at right now, it's not unusual when I was looking at data from across the consortium that scores took a little dip, but if you scroll all the way to the bottom, if you wanted to compare, I know we can't compare apples and oranges because they're tested in different students in the first benchmark test is not comparative to what was taught during the second benchmark, so we can't compare apples and oranges. Scroll all the way down there to the bottom, but if we want to look at the keep on going. There it is. At the comparison there, we took a little dip during the second quarter benchmark, particularly in the areas of third and fourth grade math. But after some investigation targeted those areas, we have a plan in action, and we're getting that turned around. Fifth grade's doing great. One thing that we have implemented at Callahan in mid-November actually was a after-school remediation program, and it began in mid-November, and we're starting to see that program increase in popularity with more students who are interested in attending. We have reading remedial activities on Thursday and math remedial activities on Tuesday. We have a pretty good attendance so far. We haven't from anywhere from 6 to 10 students each session now, like I said, gaining in popularity now that parents realize that that's out there for them. And I appreciate Mary Jane's efforts in helping pay for 2 after-school teachers to work with that. And also, I realize one of our weaknesses at Callahan has been the percentage of special education students in having them to be fully successful, and we are in the process of reevaluating how we deliver that instruction to students, and that's a long-term goal, but we're in discussions in how we're going to deliver that special ed instruction to those students. I will entertain any questions you have. Hearing none.
Disease.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, good evening. I don't want to reiterate what everybody else has about, the benchmark 1, benchmark 2 as you read. I do want to talk a little bit about what we are doing. We took on one of the professional development days of returning from winter break. We sat down as a staff and looked at the benchmark scores from benchmark 1 and benchmark 2. And you can't really compare the two, but you can break them down by strands and percentages. We really wanted to take the data and get it in the teachers' hands and what they can do with that. For the first time ever though, I was so proud as an administrator. Not only did the teachers own their data, they shared their data. So that if, for example, I'm teaching in second grade and I had 70% in computation and another teacher had maybe a 50%, they started the dialogue. What are you doing that's working that I need to do in my classroom? And they really took and ran with that. A couple things that we have focused on this school year that we noticed with the benchmarks are the technology-enhanced questions. Our students do not do well with the technology-enhanced questions, and so we are revamping how they assess their students in the classroom to give them more exposure and more practice with the technology-enhanced. Whereas the simple, multiple choice, A, B, C, D, they tend to do a little bit better with.
What's a technology-enhanced?
Technology-enhanced could be a wide variety of, but what it is not a simple one answer to the question. There could be multiple ways to get the answer, so they have to click on 3 or 4 choices that could be right, and if they miss one of those, the whole problem is incorrect. So they have to get them all right. It could be something as simple as they give you numbers and you create the graph, and you have to take and drag and click and know where that goes. And so it's not just a simple test. So if they're just doing regular classroom assessments, which are also important, but you have to balance the two. Because is it the fact that our students don't have the knowledge, or is it the fact that they don't know how to answer those type of questions? And so that's what we're really digging into this semester, to give them more exposure. So that was a really big area for us. One thing that our biggest weakness is third grade reading and math. You can't just focus on third grade though. You have to back up and go K through 3 because it's a K through 3 test. And that takes a couple years. That's not a simple fix. And for somebody like me that I want an instant fix right now, that's not easy. But my staff has been great and they have worked and been patient. We have started using Jan Richardson's guided reading model. So we have redesigned the reading curriculum to help students in younger grades. So hopefully as we build in the next couple years, we will start creating a better, stronger foundation. That's where we are currently. Any questions?
How did you figure out about the technology-enhanced questions? How was that?
When you take the benchmark tests, and you don't just look at the overall percentage, you break it down by strand. So I broke down what the percent was in number sense, what was computation, what was measurement geometry, and then you can actually go into those questions, and they're labeled as TEI. So when you start going down even deeper into that test, you start to see what type of questions that they were.
So you really had to dig for that.
We really did, and that's where I give credit to the staff. And we took that professional development day on January the 4th and really dug in. I showed them how to do it on the 3rd, and then they took and ran with that plan on the 4th. It was so interesting because when I first got there, teachers weren't necessarily open to sharing. They were a little nervous about sharing their data, and they just took and ran with it like it was nothing. So that, I was probably more proud of that than I was anything else on that day.
That's great. I mean, just to have that detail and decide to go in that far and look for it, because on the surface you probably never would have even noticed that. So it's great.
So they own it and they're working hard, and we'll keep moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will tell you that that's been one of the benefits of CIP, is that it allows us to get to what exactly the issue is. And the reports are instantaneous. We do it one day and we have the results the next day.
That's great.
And Matt's been very nimble to break it down any way we want to use it.
If you can
Mr.
understand,
Callahan.
if you can understand, Matt, he's a country boy. Far south of Southern Virginia.
He is a country.
Yes, he is. I don't really have anything else to share with you other than the data. You can see it right in front of you. Everything looks pretty on track as far as sharing is concerned. So the only one key component that I want to reiterate to you guys that you might not be aware of is April Face last year. When they went to a CEP school, they did lose several numbers in the disadvantaged program. You're not qualifying based on a free and reduced lunch application anymore. You're qualifying for whatever the state qualifies you, whether it be SSI, Medicaid qualification or something. So we're looking at probably a 30% reduction in our disadvantaged students. And a lot of those students are working families. And kids are pretty, on target with whatever they need. So we also lost a lot of kids that were with working families, helping them out in the evenings and doing pretty well on the SOL tests. So that would be our only concern, is that disadvantaged numbers may take a little bit of a hit because we did lose a bigger population. So we're pulling from a smaller population with less successful. So, that'll be kind of our focus going forward. Everything else looks pretty on target and meeting every benchmark we need to meet. Be happy to answer any questions.
How do you qualify as a disadvantaged student? I think you just answered that, but I can't remember what you said. Free and reduced
I couldn't tell you exactly all. No, there's no free and reduced lunch at Sharon.
Well, that's pretty
The disadvantage tag, we have certified, direct certification, and then we have students who fill out the free and reduced lunch form. At both Mountain View and at Sharon, the free and reduced lunch population is only determined by the direct certification of students. All right. So we had, say, 40 students that were direct certified, and we had another 30 free and reduced lunch. They would all be tested as disadvantaged. So what happened is we lost that 30 up here, so that population is smaller. So being smaller, you may have 12 or 13 students in there, and that percentage then, if you miss it, 5 fail out of that 13, then they may not be.
Yeah, I mean, you could look, I wrote down on the last page, 8 out of 10 in math last year. I lost 10 kids. 8 of those kids passed last year. So,
And the Mountain View went through last year, and they'll go through this year. The one thing I want to say about all our principals and the conversations we have, they know about their students. So when they meet with us, they can talk about their students, individual students' strengths, and
if that gives you names, that's probably confidential.
so they do a great job.
Thank you.